demonstrating a brand new application included with this November release, and it's called BT Code. This is for learning and building with the Python programming language. Now, part of the motivation behind this is that with BT Speak, we already give you the ability to create through its open source design, this power to create. But BT Code really takes that a step further because now we're giving you the tools and the guidance on how to use those tools to turn that creation power into real programs and applications. And Python is really just that, speaking of tools. You can think of Python as an enormous box of tools, and these tools are all designed for specific tasks, like reading a file, showing the second line from that file, maybe removing words from the beginning and end, words that begin and end with a particular letter. And just like any tools, Python has rules for how to use these tools and when to use these tools to accomplish your goals. That's what BT Code is about. So just an example, if I were to give you, a handsaw, you would grip your hand around the handle with the blade perpendicular to the object that you want to cut. And then you move the blade against the object to cut it. But if you were to turn that saw around and place the dull end against the object, it's not going to work very well. And so similarly, if you want to cut a copper pipe in half, you'd have much better results using a hacksaw, say, than a jigsaw. And so it really matters how you use the tool and when you use it, or which tool you choose for the job. And Python is really the same way. And with BT Code, we show you exactly how to use these tools and when to use these tools. And so that's kind of the design philosophy or the logic behind the design of the application. And then with BT Code, we did something else really special. So this application, it's of course you're learning Python, these real world coding. Um, you're learning these real world coding skills, but it's not restricted to just general Python. We realized that with BT Speak, we can also use this app to teach you how to use and control elements of the user interface. So show a message, make a menu, get text input from the end user. And so in that way, with very little code and pretty quickly, you can get up and running to make your own games and applications for this device and then share them with your friends and with the community. BT Code is also our first application employing context-aware AI. And this is in the form of a code learning assistant that we call Cody. And Cody can give tips, help troubleshoot, offer general advice in a manner that it always corresponds to where you are in the lesson curriculum and which activity you're working on. That's what we mean by context aware. And I'll show you what I mean by all of this in our demo. So I'm here in the welcome screen and I'm going to do an O chord.
Options menu.
And we're in the options menu. I'm going to hit A for applications.
Applications menu.
Now, BT Code is in the education submenu of the applications menu. So I'm going to do an E.
Education applications menu.
And here we have at the top BT Code
C,
because that's shortcut C. So I'm going to do a C.
BT Code menu.
Now I'm in the BT Code menu. Now, if you've ever used BT Learn, BT Code is very similar to that. We have it broken up into two modules. The first is Learn.
Learn, L.
Learn is our curriculum module, and it consists of interactive lessons that I'm going to show you. And these lessons introduce a new Python tool or a set of similar tools in clear logical steps. And the lessons were designed, as David said, with children in mind. And so I expect the lessons will probably actually reach a wide age range from 8 years old and older adults will enjoy it too. The lessons are really all about giving you options. I took everything that I knew in education. I used to teach at the university level. I've worked with a lot of students from different backgrounds. I had a lot of learning difficulties myself when I was younger, and I took all of that and I put it into what kind of options can we give to teach coding? And so each one of these lessons is paired with one or more challenge activities where you're asked to write a small game or a music-oriented app that reinforces concepts that are taught in the lessons up to that point. And so I'm going to demonstrate one of those for you today to give you a sense of what, how a user might work through this lesson curriculum. The second module here that I told you there were two modules is build, and that's the second option in the list in the menu B. Build is an environment for those who have some knowledge of Python and might want to write programs that involve multiple files or modules and this kind of thing, real applications. And this build module, I really envision this as an entry point for what I expect will eventually become a full-scale integrated development environment if you've ever used one of those. So I'm probably not going to have time to actually demo build mode in this webinar, but we'll see how far we get. The next
My
option,
projects,
My projects. This shows a menu of your ongoing Python projects if you already have them started, and gives you the ability to open ongoing work in build mode so you can resume working on it. Then we have
Options.
the options menu, and I'll show you that later. I'm going to start tonight with the demo in Learn.
Lessons.
And this is our curriculum module. It's going to put you in a menu of lessons. And the very first option in this menu
Introduction to Python.
is the introduction to Python file. I recommend reading this for anyone who's just getting started with Python. And in addition to answering that question, why learn Python, and giving you a kind of high level idea of what to expect, it tells you a bit about how to use these lessons and how to get the most of them within the context of this application. So for tonight's demo, I'm actually going to jump ahead. I'm going to show you a demo of lesson 3 and how a typical user or a student might use these lessons. And I'm going to show you uh, a few different features that they have for facilitating learning when you're working through a coding activity and you might get stuck, or you might not remember the logic or the rules for Python programming. So the lessons are numbered.
1 printing 2 variables in log 3 dialogues.
And you can use the shortcut 3 if you wanted to get to lesson 3. So I'm going to do that.
Lesson 3 dialogues, left parent interacting with users, right paren. Read lesson.
Okay, and you're going to hear some of the punctuation because we're going to go into the code editor and actually code something. And in that context, we recommend setting your punctuation level high so that you can use all of the punctuation marks, which are a frequent characteristic of Python syntax, the way the code is written. So each of these lessons has a lesson file. You're going to get the first option is always going to be
Read lesson.
Read lesson, and that's an interactive lesson file that I'm going to show you. And then that follows with one or more challenge activities, which are the activities that I told you about, where you're tasked with programming a small game or an application. And that ranges from things like a random numbers game, a dice rolling game, hangman, a music making game. There's all sorts of different activities in here. And we expect to expand this with time. This is very much an entry point application. I think you'll find that we have 13 lessons in this first version. And what we'll do from here is probably expand the lesson curriculum and add features as needed. So while I'm on that subject, we love hearing from all of you about how you're liking this application and where we can improve it, what kind of features we can add that can make learning easier or programming with Python more enjoyable. So I'm going to start with the first option, read lesson.
Lesson 3 : dialogues, left parent interacting with users, right paren.
Okay, and this is a file, and so you can read this like any file on BT Speak. Now, this is a markdown file, so I can navigate by heading level.
H2 built-in versus custom tools.
And now I'm reading the first heading level in the document, built-in versus custom tools. It's going to give you a very high level overview of what are these dialogues tools that you're introducing, and how do I work with them in on BT Speak, how to use the custom tools.
H2. How to use custom tools.
And then one of the specific tools that's taught in this lesson is
H2. Asking for user input : dialogues.request input left paren right paren.
this is requesting input from the end user, dialogues.request input. And below each of these, it's going to give you information about.
This tool shows a question, lets the user type a response, and stores it in a variable. This particular tool is called a function. More on that later.
Okay, so it's going to tell you a little bit about what that tool does, and how to classify that tool. Now, one of the features of these lesson files that I want to show you tonight is that they're very much interactive, and so you'll often get these example code blocks inside, like this one below.
Blank example : from BT Speak import dialogues. Name equals dialogues.request input left paren quote what is your name quote right paren.
Now, what you're hearing here are lines of Python code that are in the file. It's showing you how to use this code.
Dialogues.show message left paren quote nice to meet you quote plus name right paren.
And below these blocks, we often have links
Link try this.
called try this. And the try this link, you can use .8 on that link. And what it does is it executes the code block above it. And so you can experience what happens when that code is run. Very often you'll see code written in a file and you're just not grasping, okay, what is this supposed to do when it's executed? I see how it's written, but I'm not sure exactly what that is supposed to do. So I can press enter on this,
What is your name ?
and it's going to give me an input prompt. What is your name?
Kappa TDD.
So I'm going to type my name,
Nice to
press
meet
enter,
you, Steve.
and then it shows a message, nice to meet you, and it uses the name that I gave it, Steve. Okay, so those are our lesson files, and those continue. They vary in length depending on how many of those tools are introduced. The lessons, it's kind of based on a baby steps concept, and so these are very, very short logical steps, and so you're not being introduced to an overwhelming amount of tools that you're just not going to remember when you move on to the activity. It's really just a few at a time, or a few very, very similar functioning Python tools that you're learning, and all of them usually tie in and work together somehow to accomplish the challenge activity. So I'm going to do a Z chord out of this lesson file.
Lesson 3 dialogues left paren interacting with users right paren. Read lesson.
And I'm going to do a .4 chord, the challenge.
Create a custom greeting.
Okay, this is the challenge, and that's the topic of the challenge, which is create a custom greeting.
Create a custom greeting. Instructions.
Now, as I told you before, these activities, they really range in what they're asking you to do. At this point in the lesson curriculum, we're on lesson 3. The user really has few tools. They've become familiar with very few tools to be able to do anything really substantial. And so this particular activity, you're probably not going to be impressed with the activity itself or the result, what you're actually doing with it. But later on, you get into things that are a little bit more interesting and involved, like Hangman, which would take quite a long time to demonstrate. So for demonstration purposes, I'm going to show you how this one works. Create a custom greeting. Now we're inside the challenge menu because I use .8 on that option. And in this menu, the first option is
Instructions.
instructions. And so these are the instructions for accomplishing this activity. When I press enter on that,
Heading level 1 lesson 3 : create a custom greeting.
now here I'm going to enter a file very similar to that lesson file that I just showed you. And I can also use Markdown navigation to navigate this file.
Search wrapped. H2. Search wrapped. H1. Left
Here we go.
H2. Goal :
Okay, so it's going to start with a goal. Every one of these challenge activities is structured the same way. And so the user knows exactly what to expect. You're gonna find the goal, and it's gonna say here, write a program that asks for the user's name and the user's favorite food. So two separate request inputs. And then it shows a custom greeting using the values that the user gave. And then below that, the next heading is your task, and it breaks it down even further. Now, here with your task,
H1, H2, goal code H2, your task colon.
you're going to get a numbered list, and it's going to say,
1. Import the dialogues tool set correctly from BT Speak. 2. Ask the user for their name using dialogues.request input left paren right paren.
and so on. And this one really breaks it down. These are the logical steps that you need to follow in order to accomplish this activity. So it gives you a little bit more information if you need that.
H2, example output colon.
Below that, it'll give you an example output. So it tells you in writing, this is what to expect from the output of this program. And then below that
H2, hint colon.
is the hints. And this will give you kind of words of advice and warnings for remember to do this. It's very common for a developer to forget to do this, and this causes an error. Some of them become very, very important, and so it's useful to read these hints. So I'm going to go back to the challenge menu now that we've read the
Create a
instructions.
custom greeting. Instructions.
And now the next logical thing is, well, I want to code this activity.
Code it.
So we go to the coded option. Now, when I press enter here, this is going to open the code editor.
Code editor colon. Create a custom greeting.
Okay, and the code editor is really it's a session of the editor in Blazie mode, except it's kind of a minimal session where where everything is available in this editor as it is in the Blazie mode editor, except for the edit menu, navigation menu, and I believe the delete and paste menus are unavailable as well. But all of the other features, including the clipboard and find and search and things like that, are available here. And so you'll be right at home if you're used to our editor. Now, I've already pre-filled this particular code editor with the code that's needed to complete this particular activity. And I'm going to show you what that's like navigating this file. It's going
From
to say,
BT Speak import dialogues.
so we import the tool set dialogues as the instructions told us, as the lesson told us.
Name equals dialogues.request input left paren quote what is your name? Quote right paren.
Now here we're asking the user, what is your name in an input prompt, and then we're taking the value that the user gave us, and we're storing that value in a variable that we called name. And the third line, we're doing the same thing with food.
Food equals dialogues.request input left paren quote what is your favorite food? Quote right paren.
And then finally, in the last part,
Dialogues.show message left parent quote nice to meet you left brace name right brace. I like left brace food right brace too. Quote right paren.
we're doing a show message, and that's going to show the message on the screen, including the name and the food that are encoded in those variables. So here in this dialog, there's a command that you're going to want to remember for saving this file and proceeding, in this case, proceeding back to the menu where you came from. And that command is Control S. So think S for save. And when we do that,
File saved. Create a custom greeting. Code it.
it's going to say file saved. Now, if you were to Z chord in that menu, I'll show you what happens.
Code editor colon dialogues.show message left parent quote nice to meet you left brace name right brace. I like left brace food right brace too. Quote save changes left paren default is yes right paren.
And if I do a Z chord, you're safe. It's going to say save changes. It's going to ask you, did you do this by mistake? Basically, save changes, and you can say yes is the default.
Create a custom greeting. Code it.
And so there are really two ways to exit from that code editor. Okay, the third option here,
Run it.
following the logical design, is run it. You're going to run your code that you wrote, and when we do that,
what is your name colon?
it's going to begin to execute my code. and it's going to ask for my name.
Cat TV. What is your favorite food? Cat Amurgers. Nice to meet you, Steve. I like hamburgers too.
Okay, and so that's what this looks like when the code is executed properly. And
Create a custom greeting. Run it.
we're going to press enter to return there. And then the next option
Grade it.
is grade it. Now, grade it is really an evaluation function. What this is the AI agent Cody is going to, who's aware of my lesson and what I'm learning and the challenge activity that I'm completing here, is going to evaluate the code that I wrote to see if it conforms to the the rubric of the lesson or the goal that I was trying to accomplish here. So I'm going to press enter on grade it.
Grading your lesson.
It's going to say grading your
Score
lesson.
100%. Wow, you've mastered this lesson. Fantastic job.
And this is a file that you can use .4chord to navigate through it. And it's going to tell you
Here's what you did right,
here's what you did right. And if you didn't do something right, it'll tell you something about that as well. So this is going to be a numbered list and
One
it's going to
right
say,
paren. Program imports dialogues correctly using from BT Speak import dialogues.
and in this case, it has about 6 different items that were accomplished correctly that it was evaluating. So I'm going to go back to the
Create a
menu
custom greeting. Grade it.
and I'm going to show you what happens when things go wrong and we a user gets
Run it.
stuck.
Code it. Code editor : dialogues dot show message left parent quote nice to meet you left brace name right brace
And so to simulate that,
left f quote.
I'm going to remove a single character from this show message, which is the F prefix. It's just a single character. F is in Foxtrot.
F.
And if we remove that, the show message is no longer going to unpack the values that are stored in each of these variables, name and food. And so it's just going to present that message as a literal, what we'd call a string literal, which is the message as it's written literally in the quotes. So I'm going to do a Control S here and save.
File saved. Create a custom greeting. Code it. Run it.
Now when I run it,
what is your name ? Cat TV. What is your favorite food ? Cat Amurgers. Nice to meet you left brace name right brace. I like left brace food right brace too.
and so you can hear it says, nice to meet you, name, I like food too. And the name and food are being taken literally instead of unpacking the values from those variables. And so one of the useful
Create a custom
functions
greeting. Run it.
of the grade it, remember I told you this is an evaluator as much as it is, well, I'm finished with the lesson, did I do it correctly? This can be helpful. Imagine when your programs get very, very large and you might work very hard to get a third of the way through this program and you think, wow, I'm really stuck. Am I even going in the right direction? And so this grade it function can offer some peace of mind and some encouragement that you're doing it right. Here's what you need to do next.
Grade it.
And this kind of simulates that, the removal of the F. And so I'm going to go to grade it.
Grading your lesson. Score : 80%.
And so it's telling me, well, you're 80% of the way there.
Awesome job. You're so close to having this program work perfectly. Just a tiny tweak needed for the greeting.
And just a tiny tweak needed. And then it's going to proceed to say, here's what you did
Here's
right.
what you did right :
And it's going to give me the list of what I did correctly.
1 right 2 3 4 6 blank. Here's what needs work :
And then it's going to tell me, here's what needs work. So here's specifically what I'm missing.
5 right paren. Program uses dialogues show message left paren right paren to display a greeting that includes both name and food. Your greeting is almost perfect. Create a custom greeting.
Okay,
Great.
so what you were hearing there is it's telling me specifically that the message is not printing properly, encoding the correct values for name and food. And so let's say I'm here and I say, wow, I'm really stuck. I'm not really sure what I'm doing
Help
wrong.
me.
this graded is never really going to give away the answer. It really makes you kind of work for it a little bit because that's how you learn. So you go to
Help
help me.
options for create a custom greeting. Demo the solution.
Now, help me is another option in this challenge menu, and that's going to bring you to the help menu, help options for this particular challenge. And the first option is
Demo the solution.
now demo the solution actually executes the correct answer, the correct code to give you a sense of uh, what happens when you complete the activity correctly, what's supposed to happen when you run this code. And we already did that.
Review lesson
The
3.
second option is going to be review lesson 3, which is go back to that lesson file and maybe there I want to search for, how do I unpack those values in that string that I wrote. The next option
Tips.
is tips. So here I can get more pointed advice on, well, I'm really stuck. Give me some clues here to bail me out. So I'm going to press enter.
Asking for tips. Hey there, supercoder. Your program is almost there, but it looks like the greeting isn't quite showing the name and food you entered. Let's fix that.
Okay, and then it's going to give me 3 different tips here for this code that I wrote, and it's going to say,
One right paren. Remember that f strings are a super handy way to put variables directly into your messages. Try putting an F right before the opening quote of your message in grog dialogs.show message left paren right paren, grog.
okay, so here I made a very specific mistake, and so it's giving me a very specific solution to that mistake is that I need to use that F prefix to make the F string work. And then it's going to give me 2 other pieces of advice. Now, one other cool thing about this tips feature is that when you have the full solution coded out and you go to grade it and it says 100%, this is 100% correct, you can still go to tips and make use of that. And what it'll do is it'll tell you, great, everything's working correctly. But here's some ideas to make your game or application more useful. Try making it 2 player. Here's how to do that, and it'll give you some steps to, here's how to advance your application and make it a little bit more interesting. And so that can be kind of a fun feature to explore more. So I'm going to do a Z chord from the tips,
Help options for create a custom greeting. Tips.
and I'm going to show you the last option in this.
Ask Cody.
Ask Cody. So this is very similar to like a Chat GPT or Gemini or any of these AI chat programs out here. The big difference here is that you're dealing with a context-aware AI agent, and so it understands that your knowledge of Python up to this point is that covered up to lesson 3, and not to give you advice that introduces things that are covered in lesson 4 and above because you haven't gotten there yet. And so it really gives you very specific pointed advice and it puts it in plain English that you can understand. So to give you a sense of what that's like, I'm going to press enter on Ask Cody.
Question for Cody colon.
And it's going to say question, and I'm going to say,
Cat A W.
how do I use F strings?
How T O to cat S E F T I G S. Question.
And enter.
Great question. You're on the right track by asking how to use them.
Okay, and it's going to say, great question. You're on the right track by asking how to use them. And it proceeds with an entire file very focused on F strings. This is about 50 to 100 lines of text, including examples and how to use this tool and the correct syntax to use, the example. Then when I Z chord here, there's another feature.
Exit. Respond to Cody colon.
Respond to Cody. And so this is very much a conversational AI agent. It remembers your past interactions and you can continue to have a conversation with it in a manner that, well, it's going to remember what you asked it the first time, so that when you're on, response 5, that context is kept into the conversation, which is helpful. Okay, there's
Help
one more.
options for create a custom greeting. Ask Cody.
One more feature that I want to show you here is what happens when you run the code that's truly broken and Python throws an error.
Create a custom greeting.
So
Help me.
we're going to go back to the code editor and simulate that. I'm going to go to code it.
Grade it. Run it. Code it. Code editor : dialogues.show message left paren quote nice to meet you left brace name right brace.
And
I like left brace food right brace 2 quote right paren.
I'm going to put the F back in place.
Blank. Food equals dialogues blank. Food equals space.
And I'm going to remove
speak space T.
the variable here for food.
Space.
And so now we have a variable name that's collecting the name, but the food variable, I've removed it from this. And so there's going to be nothing to unpack when it tries to unpack this variable in the message because I haven't introduced it or defined it anywhere. So I'm going to save this.
File saved. Create a custom greeting. Code it.
And you're going to get something known as a name error when you run this. So I'm going to run it.
What is your name : TEVE. What is your fave FURGERS? Error : traceback left paren most recent call last right paren :
Now you're going to get what's known from Python as a traceback. It's an ordered list of everything that was executed essentially line by line in your code, and then where it encountered that error, specifically where it was encountered. And at the end, it's going to give you the most pertinent error that it defined as.
Name error : name food is not defined.
Name food is not defined. Now, the really cool thing about this is that when you're learning Python, these error reports are really essential to learn them and understand how to interpret them and identify the bug. Where did I go wrong with this program? And so I really wanted users of this app, the students, to be able to understand how to interpret those. And they can be a little bit difficult when you're starting to learn Python because you don't understand all of these terms, name errors and things. So the AI agent will also give you advice below that.
Cody's advice : oh no, it looks like there was a little hiccup in your code. The error name error : name food is not defined means that your program was trying to use a word called grog food grog. Therefore, type C-chord to exit.
It's going to proceed to tell me all about that error and give me advice on how to fix it. Okay.
Type Cody's advice : create a custom greeting.
Now, one more feature I want to show you before we end the demo here.
Lesson 3 dialogues left paren interact 3 dialogues.
I'm going to go all the way back to the main menu. Remember I told you
learn, build.
There's an options menu at the bottom of this BT code menu. This is kind of a fun thing.
BT code options menu.
In this options menu, you have first option.
Cody's persona, C.
Cody's persona. Now,
which BT code persona would you like to use?
You can select from about 10 different personas. Kind, goofy, grouchy, pirate, teacher, thoughtful, anxious, sarcastic, whimsical, or braille nerd. And we're going to try pirate.
Goofy. Pirate. Okay. Cody's persona, C.
And I'm going to go back
options
to the main menu.
My prop build, learn, L. Lessons. Introduction to Python. 1, 2, 3 dialogues. Lesson 3 dialogues. Create a custom greeting. Instructions. Back
to the challenge I was working on.
Run it.
And I'm going to run it with the same error in place.
What is your name : Cap TV. What is your cap MURGERS? Error : traceback fork name it blank. Cody's advice :
Now I have Cody's advice and he's going to say,
ahoy there, matey. Ye be jetting a grog name error grog. This be like trying to ask for grog when ye ain't even told the barkeep we're kind of create a custom greeting.
And you get the idea. Cody's speaking like a pirate.
Lesson 3 dialogues left 3 dialogues.
Okay, so that's the lessons module.
Learn.
I'm going to turn it over now to David.
Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more content like this.